One evening in 2015, a group of wealthy and powerful people sat around a table in Menlo Park, California. They dined, chatted, joked, but each and every one of them had one mission on their mind. They were there to save the world from an apocalypse. And after some back and forth, a conclusion was reached. Humanity was to fight fire with fire. To avert the apocalypse, we have to create apocalyptic forces on our own. You probably know some of the people who sat around that table. Most of them were tech entrepreneurs, including Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Ilya Sutskever, Greg Brockman, and a few others. And you probably know the organization that was conceived there, OpenAI. Over 7 years have passed, and its products have become ubiquitous. One of them is DALL-E, the image-generating AI. Another is Whisper, a speech recognition app. And of course, then there's ChatGPT. And just like that, they turned OpenAI into a household name. But with their unprecedented success, concerns started rolling in.
Have we now actually lost control of technology?
We need a wake-up call here. We have a perfect storm of a lack of regulation and a huge number of unknowns.
That the people who are aware of it are really scared, and we should all be.
I have to admit, I'm absolutely terrified of this.
But OpenAI doesn't see it this way. It still claims that it stayed on the right side, and that every one of its decisions has been for the greater good.
Check, check, check. Tools do wonderful good and real bad, and we will minimize the bad and maximize the good.
Is this a lie? Did OpenAI really choose the righteous path, or did it turn to the dark side? Let's dive deep into this mysterious entity and try to find out, are they still the good guys? There's one mission at the core of OpenAI, creation of AGI, an artificial general intelligence. It's basically an artificial intelligence that's smarter than humans in every way.
Machines will actually feel to most people like they can think subjectively. We will have systems that we can talk to in natural language that do complicated tasks.
Which is both amazing and terrifying. On one hand, superhuman AI could solve all of humanity's troubles. It would help us do all the tasks we had failed at for millennia, cure diseases, stop wars, end climate change, and so much more. On the other hand, it could make this a whole lot worse.
What is doom, and this is what we call existential risk, which is the possibility that AI might cause the extinction of humanity at large. And you've seen people like Hinton from Google, who just left, mention these as a risk. People like Eliza Yudkowsky has also mentioned this as a risk. And this is the doomsday scenario. It's what people are very, very worried about.
But things don't have to go that far to go bad. To start, AI only has to be slightly better than humans at some of our jobs. And the result? Mass layoffs, unemployment, total poverty, and possibly even full societal collapse.
So we can talk about doomsday in 20, 40, 30 years, whatever, but right now people might be losing their job, they might be getting replaced.
Instead of job transitionings happening at the time scale of a generation or half a generation, that time window can be compacted down to a decade, 5 years.
Or it could understand human psychology just slightly better than we do, and help malicious actors or regimes manipulate people for their own twisted benefit, leading to a dystopia more horrifying than anything Orwell could have imagined.
Because these tools are fully automated now, you'll be able to scale up misinformation to a whole other level.
We'll have AIs generating content and AIs moderating content.
The list of potential dangers AI poses is endless, and the only way to prevent them is to put the technology into good hands. Give it to people who are not guided by profit, political goals, or a hunger for power. So how did OpenAI try to solve this problem? Its creators formulated 5 core principles and laid them out in 2015. Nobody would explain them better than OpenAI itself. Here are the principles it gave me. The wording may differ slightly for you. Okay, that's a lot. Let's tackle this step by step.
1. AI should be developed and used for the betterment of all humanity.
What did Altman, Musk, and others mean by this? Well, despite being extremely wealthy and powerful, they weren't in favor of AI being monopolized by a select few, including wealthy shareholders or profit-oriented corporations. They wanted AI to be accessible to all, so they created OpenAI as a non-profit. It had to take money from rich donors without giving them anything in return. and a significant part of its earnings would go to
2. AI should be safe and reliable.
Think what you want about these people, but there's ample evidence to suggest that each and every one of them understands the dangers of artificial intelligence. The whole idea of OpenAI was built on preventing danger to humanity, so it's only natural that the group spent enormous resources on ensuring AI safety, such as preventing it from spreading misinformation. And one of the ways to do that was
3. AI should be transparent and explainable.
This principle was so important, OpenAI put it in the name of the company. It strived to develop an AI anybody could use. So all the products they released had to be open source, free for everybody to modify and adapt as they please. Not only that, but
4. AI should be developed collaboratively.
OpenAI went on to implement this right away, searching far and wide for talent and attracting the best minds from various fields. From programmers to philosophers to neuroscientists, OpenAI tried to take as diverse an approach to the birth of non-human intelligence as possible, and in turn benefit all the other fields as soon as a desirable result is reached. But too much of that benefit could be dangerous. Therefore,
5. AI should be used to augment human capabilities, not replace them.
So instead of robots leaving you and everybody else jobless, OpenAI wanted its creations to enhance human productivity. They imagined AI entities as co-pilots rather than replacements for human workers, allowing us to reach the heights of intellect we couldn't reach alone, instead of robots reaching those heights and leaving us in the dust.
Good morning, sir. Yet another on-time delivery from...
Get the hell out of my face, scanner.
Have a nice day.
So here they are, 5 core principles of OpenAI, and the main ways those people who met in a restaurant in 2015 wanted to prevent an apocalypse. They sound logical, don't they? Now the only thing left to do was to follow them as closely as possible without betraying them. By this point, you probably know that OpenAI went through several transformations throughout the years, and all of those transformations had pretty familiar shapes. In 2019, OpenAI announced creating a for-profit subsidiary that would be focused on earning the company enough cash to sustain its activities. The announcement was not taken very well. Elon Musk, who by this point had left OpenAI over what he called creative differences, led the charge in attacking his former colleagues and accusing them of selling out. And just several months later, the first major investor knocked at OpenAI's doors.
Microsoft is in talks to invest $10 billion in OpenAI.
This made people even more furious.
Right now, they are considering an investment of $10 billion. So Microsoft looking for a way to monetize this ChatGPT.
The code for the first 2 large language models of OpenAI, the GPT-1 and the GPT-2, were immediately published on GitHub. But when it came to publishing the GPT-3, the company hesitated. The model worked great and could write text and answer questions almost as well as humans could. And OpenAI didn't want to release it. In September 2020, an announcement shook the IT world when OpenAI gave Microsoft an exclusive license for its use,
which enables Microsoft to deploy ChatGPT technology in many of their products.
In effect, Microsoft has a very strong say, if not directly controls OpenAI at this point.
Then, when GPT-4 was announced, OpenAI openly said that it does not plan to make it open source, ever. Instead of benefiting humanity, the world's most advanced AI would become a play toy for one of the world's richest companies. If you've ever used ChatGPT, you've probably noticed many of its answers seem decent. It can recite Wikipedia, create a poem, or offer a recipe pretty well. But sometimes, just sometimes, something goes haywire.
OpenAI says the platform can produce harmful instructions.
I think we've all heard about AI hallucinations where, an AI will see 2 things on a page and think that they're associated, right? So that is an emerging problem in AI.
Now, our photo has this dog and it looks like it's yawning on the railroad tracks. But here it's saying that Hulk is sitting on a wooden floor. In front of the dog, there is a cake decorated with bone-shaped treats and a lit candle at the center. I don't see any cake over here.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to... Anyway.
Some hallucinations are funny, others worrying, and others can be downright harmful. Trying to combat this, OpenAI instigated a powerful filter system designed to implement regular updates to tackle the most prominent hallucinations and exploits. But the filter system created a problem of its own when ChatGPT got accused of having all kinds of biases. However, GPT was still very efficient at lots of tasks. Worryingly efficient. It can write any text way faster than people. It's really good at organizing, summarizing, and transforming text. It's incredibly fast and even creative. Write a poem about your own creativity. Sure, it can still make mistakes, but all it really needs is a little human oversight, right?
Factor faster would you say you code now?
It feels like I'm a year away from being 5 to 10 times faster.
Now, to be completely honest, we couldn't find very much evidence of OpenAI breaking its fourth principle. They still collaborate with all kinds of institutions and researchers and encourage the use of GPTs in all fields. But is this even a good thing? And is dropping 4 or 5 core principles really acceptable? Well, let's see what ChatGPT thinks about that. The answer was like this. It may differ slightly for you.
Yes, OpenAI continues to uphold the 5 guiding principles that were formulated in 2015.
Wait, what? Now, that was unexpected. Let's dive into that. Now, you may be wondering how OpenAI's core members like Sam Altman, Ilya Sutskever, and Greg Brockman continued working at the company even after it changed its direction. The simple answer is, from their point of view, it didn't. Many changes OpenAI made could be seen as necessary or even unavoidable, and that's exactly what the company itself says. In 2018, just before changing into a for-profit, the company was at a standstill. It was losing investors, it couldn't catch up with competitors like Google, and its releases weren't that spectacular.
To work with AI, you need a lot of really smart developers, and developers need to be paid, and machine learning engineers need to be paid. See, everything comes back to the for-profit.
We started as a nonprofit. We learned early on that we were going to need far more capital than we were able to raise as a nonprofit.
And even the change could be interpreted as not that radical. OpenAI didn't really become a for-profit. It kept its nonprofit roots, but established an additional stream of revenue to avoid going bankrupt.
Our nonprofit is still fully in charge. There is a subsidiary capped profit so that our investors and employees can earn a certain fixed return. And then beyond that, everything else flows to the nonprofit. And the nonprofit is like in voting control, lets us make a bunch of non-standard decisions.
Developing AGI safely and open sourcing it are two completely incompatible goals. It doesn't matter that advanced AI appears in good hands at first. As soon as its code gets released, it's like you gave a super weapon to every bad actor in the world, simultaneously. So, open source AGI isn't a good idea, unless you want all the negative outcomes we discussed, all at once.
These tools are so powerful that they no longer feel it is okay to provide access to the entirety of the world at large.
Which is why even people who initially criticized OpenAI's changes are now quite confident that technology like this simply should not be open sourced.
Mark my words, AI is far more dangerous than nukes.
But asking, should we open source GPT-4 now is just the same as if you say how to build really small nuclear weapons, a new virus that kills 90% of everybody who gets it. Of course we shouldn't.
Now, when it comes to safety, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Yes, between the misinformation, the hallucinations, and the exploits, ChatGPT is not entirely safe. But on the other hand, OpenAI is hard at work pathing up everything it can.
And again, we spent well over 6 months with GPT-4 after we finished training it, trying to find the harms that we knew about and how to address those.
Just keep in mind, GPTs can't think. They produce text based on what people write on the internet. And if you've ever been on the internet, you probably know how unbiased, truthful, and reasonable it is.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Now, when it comes to the last principle, there's a bit more nuance there. In every case we explored, OpenAI tries to present itself as a proponent of preventing AI joblessness, or at least mitigating it.
We love seeing people use our tools to create, to learn, to be more productive. We're very optimistic that there are going to be fantastic jobs in the future, and that current jobs can get much better.
I am excited about a world where AI is an extension of human will and an amplifier of our abilities and this most useful tool yet created.
If this idea seems naive to you, you may be right. It receives a lot of criticism, and for good reason.
caring is easy to fake. Like hire a bunch of people to be your AI safety team and redefine AI safety as having the AI not say naughty words. The basic problem that we have is like trying to build secure OS before we run up against a really smart attacker.
To recap, did OpenAI give up on most of the core principles it laid out back when it was created? Yes, it did. Was giving up on some of the principles justified? Yes, it was. But some others, not so much. And that's all we can say at this point. What we really need to understand is that the discussion around artificial intelligence is incredibly nuanced and incredibly difficult. What is your favorite nuance point in the story? What aspect, which at first appeared straightforward, got more and more complicated the deeper you went? Let's discuss that instead. And while we're there, tell us, would you like us to do more in-depth videos like this? That's it for today. I'll see you in the next video.